In this video, a driver is told to skip a $14 toll. He takes a detour that cost his company $800. Another driver is ordered to break federal law. He doesn't refuse. He does something worse. He follows every rule so precisely, it costs them $47,000 in rotting produce. But our final story? A driver discovers his company is committing a federal crime. Editing his logs. Falsifying records. He doesn't quit. He doesn't complain. He waits. And then, from a truck stop in the middle of Nebraska, he makes one phone call. 3 weeks later, federal agents raided that company's headquarters. The owner was arrested. 112 trucks were sold at auction. The driver? He watched it all from his new job. Making more money. With a clean conscience. I'm the narrator. And I collect the stories they don't want told. Trucking looks simple from the outside. Guy drives. Guy delivers. Guy gets paid. But between that driver and his paycheck, there's a dispatcher. Someone in an air-conditioned office 2,000 miles away, who's never changed a tire in a blizzard. Never been screamed at by a receiver because the load is 6 minutes late. Never missed their kid's birthday because a broker lied about the pickup time. And sometimes, that dispatcher pushes too hard. Today we open 3 files from the archive. 3 drivers. 3 dispatchers who thought they were untouchable. They weren't. Let's begin.
So I've been driving trucks for 19 years. I started when I was 22, running regional routes out of Memphis. Did my time with the mega carriers, got treated like a number, learned the game, and eventually landed with a mid-sized outfit based out of Louisville. Good people, mostly. Fair rates. Home on weekends. For about 6 years, everything was smooth. Then corporate got bought out by some investment group in Atlanta. And the first thing they did? They cleaned house in the office. Brought in their own people. That's when I met Darren. Darren was the new dispatch supervisor. Late 20s, business degree, never spent a single day behind the wheel of anything bigger than his Nissan Altima. But he had spreadsheets. He had optimization metrics. He had this way of talking to drivers like we were children who just couldn't understand his big brain logistics. Now look, I get it. Companies need to make money. Fuel isn't cheap, tolls add up, I understand the math. But Darren? Darren didn't understand that the math changes when you're actually out there. This particular day, I'm hauling a load of auto parts from Louisville to a plant just outside of Philadelphia. Standard run. I've done it probably 60 times. I know every exit, every truck stop, every way station that's closed on Tuesdays. The route takes me up I-71 to Columbus, then across I-70 to the Pennsylvania Turnpike. The turnpike costs about $14 in tolls for my rig. Has for years. It's baked into the rates. I'm about an hour from the turnpike entrance when my Qualcomm buzzes. It's Darren. Driver 227, be advised, new routing protocol. Skip the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Take alternate route via US 30. I read that message 3 times. US 30 through Pennsylvania is not a truck route. I mean, it's legal, technically. But it's 2 lanes. It's full of traffic lights. It cuts through small towns where everyone drives 25 miles an hour and looks at you like you just landed from Mars. I message back, confirm? US 30 will add approximately 2 hours and 30 miles to delivery. His response, confirmed. New company policy. All toll roads must be pre-approved. Approval denied for this load. Proceed via US 30. I sat there for a minute. I know I should have just taken the turnpike and argued about it later. That's what the old me would have done. But something about the way he typed approval denied, like I was asking for permission to go to the bathroom, it got under my skin. So I thought to myself, you want me to skip the toll road? Fine. I'll skip it. But I'm not taking US 30. See, I know these roads. I've been running this region for almost 2 decades. And I know there's another way to avoid the turnpike. It goes through Breezewood, cuts south into Maryland for a bit, then loops back up through some beautiful, and I mean beautiful, countryside. It's about 30 extra miles compared to US 30. Adds maybe 3.5 hours. But hey, no tolls. I took my time. Stopped for fuel in some little town called McConnellsburg. Grabbed lunch at a diner that had the best meatloaf I've had in years. Watched some deer cross the road outside of Hagerstown. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't breaking any rules. I was just taking the scenic route. The toll-free scenic route. Exactly what Darren wanted. I rolled up to that plant in Philly about 4 hours later than my original ETA. The receiver was not happy. Not happy at all. See, they had a crew waiting to unload me for a second shift production run. When I didn't show, they had to pay that crew overtime to wait. And when I finally did show, they were past their window for the production line anyway. The late fee? $812. But wait, there's more. The extra mileage? That cost about $93 in diesel, even at the rates back then. And because I had to drive an extra 3.5 hours, I didn't have enough hours left on my clock the next day to make my following pickup. So the company had to pay another driver to cover it. Total damage from saving that $14 toll? Darren called me the next morning. He was heated. Kept asking why I didn't take US 30 like he told me. I said, Darren, you said skip the turnpike. You didn't say which route to take instead. I used my professional judgment as a driver to select an alternate toll-free route. There was this long pause on the line. Then he said, we're going to have a conversation about this. I said, sounds good. Make sure to bring your spreadsheets. He never micromanaged my routes again.
$14. That's what started it. A dispatcher in an air-conditioned office decided he knew better than a man with 2 decades of road under his tires. And it cost his company almost 90 times what he saved. There's a saying in logistics, slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. Darren never learned that. He learned something else instead, that drivers have memories. And options. But that was just money. Annoying, embarrassing, but survivable. Our next driver. He didn't cost his company money. He cost them a $47,000 load. And he did it without breaking a single rule. Because the rules were his weapon.
Alright, so a little background on me first. I'm 44. Been driving OTR, that's over the road, for 12 years. Before that, I was a compliance officer for a regional carrier out of Oklahoma City. I know the FMCSA regulations, like most people know their home address. Hours of service rules, I can recite them in my sleep. 11 hours of driving after 10 consecutive hours off. 14-hour on-duty window. Mandatory 30-minute break. And the big one, the 34-hour restart. I switched to driving because, honestly, I was tired of office politics. Wanted to be out on the road, doing the actual work. Found a company that seemed decent. Ran freight mostly in the Midwest and Southeast. Decent miles, decent pay. The dispatcher's name was Sheila. Sheila had been dispatching for about 8 years. She wasn't stupid, I'll give her that. She knew how to move freight. But she had this philosophy that the hours of service rules were more like guidelines, suggestions, things that flexible drivers could work around. And for a lot of drivers, that's exactly what they did. Fudge the logs a little here, run a little hot there. I'm not judging, I get it. When you're paid by the mile and sitting still means starving, the temptation is real. But I don't play that game. Never have. I run legal. Every single time. My ELD is accurate to the minute. I take my breaks when I'm supposed to. I don't find extra hours. It's not worth my CDL, and it's definitely not worth killing someone because I fell asleep at the wheel. Sheila didn't like that about me. It started small. Little comments. You know, most drivers can make that run in one shot. Or, I'm just saying, if you were a little more flexible, I could give you better loads. I ignored it, kept doing my job. Then came the Coleman Farms run. Coleman Farms was a big produced shipper out of Georgia. They had a load, $47,000 worth of fresh lettuce and tomatoes, that needed to be in Michigan in 36 hours. It was a rush job, premium rate. Sheila called me personally. I need you on this one. Pick up tonight in Valdosta, deliver tomorrow night in Detroit. 1,400 miles, straight shot. I did the math in my head. I'd been driving that day already. I had about 6 hours left on my clock before I'd need my 10-hour break. After that break, I'd have a fresh 11 hours. 6 plus 11 is 17 hours of driving. 1,400 miles at an average of 60 miles per hour, allowing for fuel stops, traffic, and way stations, is about 25 hours of driving. Sheila, that's not possible. Not legally. She sighed, like I was being difficult. Look, I'm not telling you to do anything illegal. I'm just saying, drivers find ways. You stop for your breaks, fine. But maybe you stop at places where you can. You know, keep the wheels turning a little after. I told her I understood. I told her I'd do my best. And I did exactly what I said. My best within the law. I picked up the load in Valdosta at 8 p.m., drove my 6 hours, pulled into a truck stop outside of Chattanooga, and started my mandatory 10-hour break. Sheila called at midnight. Why are you stopped? You should be in Kentucky by now. I'm on my 10-hour break. I had 6 hours left when I picked up. Can't you just show you were in the sleeper earlier? Get moving. No. She hung up. I slept well that night. Next morning, I drove my fresh 11 hours. Got as far as just south of Toledo. And then my clock ran out again. Legally, I was done for the day. But here's the thing. Over the past week, I'd been running hard. Legal, but hard. I'd used up a lot of my 70-hour weekly clock. And according to the rules, when you run out of hours on your 70-hour clock, you have one option, the 34-hour restart. You stop completely for 34 consecutive hours. Then your clock resets, and you're fresh again. I pulled into a truck stop in Maumee, Ohio, 30 miles from Detroit, 30 miles from that delivery, and I parked. Sheila called within an hour. What are you doing? You're 30 miles out. Just deliver the load. Sheila, I'm out of hours. I've been running at the edge of my 70-hour clock all week. If I drive another 30 miles, I'm in violation. The ELD won't even let me move without logging it as a violation. This is $47,000 worth of produce. It's going to spoil. Then you should have planned a load with a driver who had hours available. She screamed at me, literally screamed. Called me every name in the book. Told me I was fired. I said, okay, but you're going to need someone to come get this truck because I'm not moving it until my 34-hour restart is complete. That's the law. Call me in 34 hours. Then I hung up. I spent the next day and a half watching movies in my cab, catching up on sleep, and eating at the little diner attached to the truck stop. They had a pretty good chicken fried steak. The lettuce and tomatoes, they didn't fare as well. By the time another driver came to take over, someone who did have hours, the load was toast. Well, salad. Dead salad. $47,000 worth of compost. The company tried to blame me. They really did. But here's the thing. Everything was logged. Every hour, every break, every mile. My ELD showed exactly what happened. I never broke a single regulation. Their own records showed that Sheila had assigned me the load knowing I was running low on hours. Their own messages showed her pressuring me to falsify my logs. 3 weeks later, Sheila was demoted to office admin. 2 months after that, she was gone entirely. Me, I got a warning letter for failure to communicate effectively. I framed it. It's hanging in my cab right now.
$47,000 of rotting vegetables. And not a single rule broken. See, that's what happens when you try to pressure someone who knows the system better than you do. Sheila thought the rules were obstacles to work around. That driver knew they were a fortress to hide behind. But both of these stories, the detour, the logbook, they ended with embarrassment, with money lost, with a lesson learned. Our final story doesn't end with a lesson. It ends with a raid, with federal agents, with handcuffs, with a company that no longer exists. This driver didn't just win. He burned it down.
I'm going to keep some details vague here for legal reasons. It's been a few years, but I'd rather not have anyone tracking me down. I'll just say I was working for a carrier in the Plains States. Big outfit. 100+ trucks. Looked legitimate on paper. DOT number in good standing, decent safety rating, been around for about 15 years. I came on as an experienced driver. 41 years old at the time, 17 years behind the wheel, Clean record except for one speeding ticket back in 2008. I thought I'd found a stable home. The first few months were fine. Decent miles, pay was okay, dispatchers were the usual mix of competent and clueless. Nothing out of the ordinary. Then I started noticing things. My ELD logs weren't matching my memory. Little things at first. I'd remember stopping for fuel in Ogallala for about 45 minutes. But my log would show 30. I'd remember hitting traffic in Denver that put me behind an hour. But my log would show I was on time. I thought maybe I was misremembering. Trucking messes with your sense of time. Days blur together. Maybe I was just tired. But then I started taking notes. Writing things down in a pocket notebook, old school. Time I stopped. Time I started. Odometer readings. And the numbers didn't match. Not even close. Someone was editing my logs. Now, let me explain what that means. Since 2017, most trucks are required to have electronic logging devices. ELDs. They're supposed to be tamper-proof. They automatically record when you're driving, when you're stopped, how many hours you've been on the road. The whole point is to prevent drivers and companies from falsifying records. If a company is editing ELD data, they're not just breaking a rule. They're committing a federal crime. We're talking FMCSA violations, potential DOT shutdown, criminal charges for the people responsible. And they were doing it to me. Without my knowledge. Without my consent. They were making it look like I was driving legal hours when, on paper, I might have been in violation. Which means if I got into an accident, even one that wasn't my fault, my falsified logs could be used against me. I could lose my CDL. I could go to jail. All because some guy in an office was juicing numbers to squeeze more loads out of his fleet. I was furious. But I didn't say anything. Not yet. Here's the thing about blowing the whistle. You only get one shot. If you complain too early, they gaslight you, cover their tracks, and you look crazy. You have to build your case first. So for the next 3 months, I documented everything. Every discrepancy between my notebook and my ELD. Screenshots when I could get them. Dates, times, load numbers. I even recorded a phone call, legal in my state, where a dispatcher told me not to worry about my hours because the system takes care of it. I also started looking into the company. Public records, old news articles, trucker forums. Turns out there were rumors. Other drivers who had noticed weird things and either quit or got fired before they could prove anything. The pattern was clear. This company had been doing this for years. And they'd gotten away with it because nobody had stuck around long enough to build a real case. I was going to be different. The day I pulled the trigger, I was hauling a load of industrial equipment from Wyoming to Missouri. Middle of nowhere, Nebraska. Flat, empty, a whole lot of nothing. I pulled into a rest stop just off I-80. Tiny place. A few parking spots, a bathroom, some vending machines. I turned off the truck, grabbed my folder, the one with 3 months of evidence. And I called the DOT hotline. The conversation lasted about 45 minutes. I gave them everything. Names, dates, load numbers, the recorded phone call. I told them I was willing to cooperate fully and that I was concerned for my safety and legal standing. The guy on the phone was quiet for a long moment after I finished. Then he said, "Sir, do not return to that company's facilities. We're going to need you to stay where you are and wait for further instructions." They sent someone to meet me that afternoon. A field investigator. She took my folder, copied my files, and told me that based on what I'd provided, they had enough for an emergency investigation. She also told me something else. I had the legal right, under federal whistleblower protections, to refuse to continue operating that vehicle for a company I believed was engaging in unsafe practices. I could walk away, right there, leave the truck at the rest stop. So that's what I did. I grabbed my personal bag from the cab. I left the keys on the seat. And I called my wife to come pick me up. 3 weeks later, my phone blew up. Every trucker forum, every industry news site, every local news station in the area, they were all running the same story. DOT and FMCSA had raided the company's headquarters. Federal agents. Search warrants. The whole thing. What they found was worse than even I knew. It wasn't just my logs. They'd been editing records for dozens of drivers. Years of falsified data. Drivers who were shown as legal when they were actually exhausted, over their hours, in no condition to be behind the wheel. The owner was arrested. The operations manager was arrested. The company's operating authority was revoked on the spot. All 112 trucks were grounded. Most of them were eventually sold at auction. The company name? Gone. Dissolved. Like it never existed. And me? I landed a job with a different carrier 2 weeks after the raid. Better pay. Better equipment. A company that actually treats drivers like human beings. I still have the notebook. The one where I tracked everything. Sometimes I flip through it just to remind myself. When someone's breaking the law and you're the one who pays the price if it goes wrong, you don't owe them silence. You owe them nothing. That dispatcher, the one who told me this system takes care of it, last I heard she's working at a grocery store now. I hope she's learned to count her hours honestly.
3 drivers, 3 dispatchers, 3 very different lessons. The first learned that pennies don't always add up the way you think. The second learned that rules exist for a reason, and some drivers know them better than you ever will. But the third? The third learned what happens when you put a man's livelihood, his license, his freedom at risk just to move a few extra loads. He didn't just fight back. He ended them. The road is long. It's lonely. And it's full of people who think they can push drivers around because drivers are far away and easy to ignore. But drivers talk. Drivers remember. And when you push the wrong one, they don't yell. They don't quit in a huff. They build a case. They wait. And they make one phone call that brings your whole empire down. If you've got a dispatcher story, something you lived through, something you survived, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And subscribe, because the archive is deep, and I'm just getting started. Until next time, keep your logbook clean, and your evidence cleaner.